This is Taste of Country Nights with Evan Paul on demand, season 3, episode 5 with Lady A. Give me a funny moment that happened between you guys as a band, maybe on stage.
When Charles hit your lip on stage with the mic.
Punched you.
He didn't punch me.
That was a edit out with the microphone.
Yeah, he busted my lip accidentally. We were at the San Antonio Rodeo, and it's a rotating stage, and somehow we got crossways and hit your elbow or your wrist hit the bottom of my mic, and the mic hit my lip, and next thing you know, and we're singing Need You Now, so it's this dramatic.
Yeah,
we're getting into the performance, and he's like, you had blood on your teeth.
Whenever Lady A stops by, always a good time. 3 incredibly talented and nice people. We hung out. We talked a lot about the new music they have coming up and some of the things in the past. Also, at the end, we have a Wikipedia Trivia game that's really fun, and we learn a lot of stuff, so make sure you stick around for that. And also, if you want to check out some of our past podcasts, we've had Kenny Chesney on the show, Walker Hayes, Toby Keith, Dolly Parton. All you have to do is search for Taste of Country Nights on demand wherever you get your favorite podcasts to revisit interviews with all of your favorite country music superstars. This podcast is part of the Town Square Media Podcast Network. Taste of Country Nights, hanging out here with Lady A. What's happening, everybody?
Hey, good to see you.
Writing a song about a candle. That's what we were doing.
Yeah,
before we started.
Hot buttered rum.
Hot butter rum.
I think we have a hit on our hands.
Yeah, I think we do. Yeah.
Speaking of hits, let's talk about Love You Back. Give me the story behind that.
Yeah, it was funny. It was a song that, we become such close friends with all the songwriters in this town in Nashville. And so a friend of ours, Emily Wiseman, sent me this song. And initially, it was just a male voice on it. It was James McNair singing the demo. And I was like, gosh, this is a really great song. I'm not sure if it's going to fit our voices or not. And I was like, well, what if I come over and put my voice on the demo? And Emily was there, and I said, Hillary's out of town. I said, how about you come over and play Hillary's part? And then, I'll sing Dave's part underneath as well. And so, it just came together. And when I sent it to the guys, they were like, man, this is pretty special. So when we went in the studio, it just immediately kind of just turned into a Lady A song. And I think some of our best songs, are ones that we almost feel like were written for us. American Honey is one of those, that we just feel like, I don't know, that I love putting, there's nothing more fun than putting your own take on a song that you weren't a part of writing, because we write, 75% of our singles and music out there, but it's nice to have a song where you almost feel like they were in the room channeling our group a little bit.
Does that mess you up, Hillary, when you hear the demo and it's someone playing your part? Does that influence how you're going to play that part on a song that you haven't written?
Oh gosh, not with Emily specifically. I mean, she's not only a good friend, but I adore her voice. And we actually wrote a song together back in 2015 called Thy Will that I ended up releasing. She's a co-writer on that. So I feel like a lot of our kind of tendencies are similar. And I'm just a huge fan of her voice. But sometimes you definitely have to pull yourself out of it, and find where it fits you. A song Ocean is a great example of that. Sarah Buxton was singing the demo on that, and I remember kind of finding my way in on that song. But sometimes they just give you the most incredible inspiration and ideas that a lot of times you're just kind of trying to do your best version of what they do.
Okay. There are moments, though, you can get a little demo at us. I remember there was a song called Love This Pain. Yeah. Do you remember that? And it was on our second
Jason
record.
Sellers singing.
Yeah. And he had a really country voice. And I remember my first take was like, she's no good for you. And I was like, that's not me. So I was like, she's no good for me. And it's like, all right, had to kind of get your voice because you're so used to hearing it.
Yeah.
And, I think that was one of the things growing up playing in cover bands too. It was like, you'd sing a Garth Brooks song, then you turn around and do a Lionel Richie song, then you turn around and do an Allman Brothers song. And you're like, okay, I got to find my voice. And so, all that's kind of part of it. But it is funny, though. Sometimes you can get a little bit of what they call demoitis. Where
I've heard about demoitis.
Yes.
Yeah. You guys just wrapped up the request line tour. Give me some of the weirdest requests.
We had a lot.
My favorite.
It was mostly Taylor Swift requests, to be honest. But we had it set up where people sent in voicemails about songs. And every day we'd go to sound check and rehearse stuff from our first record, second record. So it was fun. It was a trip down memory lane in a lot of ways. A lot of emotional moments. Obviously, there's some fun moments. We did some covers. One person requested Stuck Like Glue.
Okay.
I think they thought we were Sugarland.
They did.
And so we ended up learning. We learned it at Soundcheck, and we played
really
it.
Funny.
And then Charles found them in the crowd. We like to connect with the people that left the voicemail, right?
Wow.
So we find them in the crowd, get their name, kind of meet them, stop the show, and do this moment. And Charles was like, "How many songs in did you realize this wasn't Sugarland?" But yeah, so and then plenty of fun, kind of random cover song. People would yell "Freebird" and we'd do it, for fun.
What's like the most random one you think you guys did? Like, did you do any like "Baby Got Back"?
We did.
This Is How We Do It.
This
we
Is How
do
We
that
Do
one
It.
a lot.
Bop.
Bob.
Wilson Phillips.
Yep.
I mean, any people would just yell out the craziest
you
stuff.
just like kind of joke around and do it. But I think that's the beauty of kind of where we're at as a group too. You realize that within a structured show, the more you can kind of throw in those spontaneous moments. And this was a very spontaneous show from top to bottom, really. And so I think though we're going to take forward some of that inspiration because that's where you really connect with the audience, especially if they've seen you a million times. And I think when you feel really comfortable with the material you got, that's when you can kind of let loose and where it doesn't go off the rails.
Right.
There was one night, it was a bachelorette party, so the bride was there, and they had requested Man, I Feel Like a Woman.
Okay.
So I got her up on stage with me, and she had her little bride moment singing Shania. That was fun.
Wow.
Yeah, we really
That's
just
epic
every
for her,
night,
yeah.
and that's what we said to the fans. It was like every single night was different because we obviously had our songs that we knew we were going to play every night. But for the most part, all of those, the big blanks in our set list, I mean, each city and the fans in that city helped us curate the set list.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Good. I'm sure a lot of people are going to steal that. You better get the patent on it.
Oh.
Can you guys agree? What is your best day in country music and your worst day in country music?
Oh, man.
Wow.
That's a good question.
Big.
I mean, one of the biggest, the best day for me, I think it's always early on. It's like the first time you do this, the first time we got to perform on the CMAs, we did Love Don't Live Here. I don't think I'll ever feel as just like, holy moly, this is really happening. That feeling was just electric.
Best day. Sorry, Dave. Getting invited to become a member of the Grand Ole Opry.
Wow.
For sure.
Yeah.
I was going to say playing the Opry. That first time we played the Opry, our families all came into town. It was really special. That was like an emotional, like, wow, we've made it to the Opry stage. Bill Anderson introduced us, but and then he was a part of us becoming members as well.
Yeah.
Let's get into the woods here. The worst day.
Gosh.
Man.
Oh,
Finding out Run to You at number 1 and our bus broke down on the side of the road.
It was the best and worst at the same time.
best
that might be best and worst.
That was
a good
the best and
answer.
worst. I mean, anytime like a hero of yours passes away, it feels like that's happening more now because someone was explaining that to me. I was like, God, doesn't it feel like all our heroes? And it was like, well, the advent of like the rock star really didn't start happening until the 50s, 60s, 70s. So of course, you're going to start seeing these heroes start to pass away. And that always is tough,
I was going to say when we lost our co-writer and producer, Busby.
Yeah.
That's probably the lowest.
Or when Charles punched you, or hit your lip on stage with the mic.
Punched you.
He didn't punch me.
That was a edit out with the microphone.
Yeah, he busted my lip accidentally. We were at the San Antonio Rodeo, and it's a rotating stage. And somehow we got crossways and he hit your elbow or your wrist, hit the bottom of my mic, and the mic hit my lip. And next thing you know, and we're singing Need You Now. So it's this, dramatic.
Yeah.
We're getting into the performance, and he's like, you had blood on your teeth.
How does that work? Is that workers' comp? Like, what do you-
Oh, no.
Just an ice pack. It's fine.
that time Charles busted Hillary's lip.
Like a day was like punched her.
Sorry, I didn't mean this.
Right.
That was a Freudian slip.
Are there any Lady A songs that are hard to play because maybe they bring back old memories? You specifically, Charles?
I know. I mean, if you're talking about, I've been sober now, a little over a year and a half. And I mean, everybody's like, you still going to sing Bartender or Quarter After One? I'm a little drunk. I was like, yeah, it was part of my life. I mean, I mean, Warren Brothers told me one time, they're sober and they're like, I wrote the best drinking songs I've ever written 5 years sober. And it was like, I mean, to me, it's like there's absolutely nothing wrong with drinking. It's just I can't drink anymore.
Okay.
So no, I mean, I think that's part of our catalog, and they're just great songs that'll always have great memories. And listen, I had some great times. I had some low times too, but when it was fun, and I can always remember that.
I think Dave said this. I'm not sure. Someone said we could look down the road a lot longer now, knowing that we have a good, healthy dynamic between the three of us. How close were you guys to like being done with the band?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, we've had some over the course of the 17 years we've been a band. I mean, I think it'd be weird if we said that there weren't some moments along the way that we didn't have to have some hard conversations. But I ultimately think that what we've all known and believed in is what we do together is so unbelievably special and important. And we wanted to support one another in each of our kind of individual needs. And I just think that we've fought for it. We've fought really hard to continue to communicate, to continue to show up, to really listen to each other. And it's beautiful that, through the ups and downs, I mean, it's truly like a marriage, and we're in business together. We've hit every single big life milestone alongside one another. I mean, there's a whole lot that we've experienced and walked with each other in. And so, I think we've just never given up.
You have to work on it, but to, echo that sentiment that you said, I mean, you have to work on it. It's like a marriage, right? I mean, 17 years, we really take time and be intentional about, hey, let's have a meeting this week and let's sit down and kind of go through what we want the year to feel like. What are you dreaming of? What are you dreaming of? What are you dreaming of? And compromise and find ways to keep the ship going, because it's so important to us. But it comes from a mutual respect, a friendship, a respect for what everybody does and brings to the group. But yeah, we work hard on it. I mean, that's honest truth we don't want to be one of those bands that I read about that couldn't do it. We want to be able to do it long term, really.
And if you don't know, Hillary, you had met Charles, or you came across his profile on MySpace,
yes.
And you met him at a bar, and you're like, hey, I know you from MySpace. If that meeting happens today, what comes of that? Is it just a TikTok collaboration, or is it a whole band forming? Like, what do you have to say? Like,
who knows?
Where are bands in 2024? Like, what?
I have said
really
this
great question.
a million times. I said, and there's many groups out there, kind of going, I almost feel like I'm at the spot, in my life where I want to give back to it. And it's like, and it's also like an artistic, like, how can I find some other artistic things that feed my soul but aren't as forward facing? And I'm like, I would love to work with a new group. If there's any groups out there that want a little guidance or just to help create a sound, because I feel like we had so much help too through like my brother Josh and our families and different co-writers to help really create a sound. But I feel like there is such a need for more groups, and that just big harmonies. And but it's an interesting thing. Everything changes, and we can always look back and be like, well, it's a different environment now, the TikTok thing. But I think if I had advice for any new artist or any group, especially ones that get success early on TikTok, is you better get out there and get your feet wet in front of a crowd in live. Yeah. I think that's the thing that would overwhelm me the most, are some of these artists that have a hit and it's the first time they've been on stage. And not only are they first time on stage, they're like on a giant stage opening up for another artist. And I mean, it takes you years to really get great at learning how to, navigate the live show and the stage, how to take care of your voice,
as Dave would say, the variables. All of the variables.
Something always goes wrong.
Yeah.
There's always going to be something, and how to handle that, And but yeah, there's also great opportunities out there now that I feel like a lot of artists don't have. You can get discovered in so many ways, and think of all the artists that have gotten discovered on TikTok that might not have, might have been turned down already 5 times at different labels, So,
you guys won a few Grammys. Well, the Grammys are coming up. What are your favorite Grammy moments?
Oh gosh, I mean, for us, definitely the night that we just. I mean, it's like we won Song of the Year, across all genre, and that was crazy. And then I just remembered Jennifer Lopez handing us a Grammy. And that was the weirdest, most surreal experience.
It was.
I mean, that night was just out of this world. Never be able to fully process it. I'm obviously stumbling over my words to still talk about it. And then I think iconic, memorable moment for me that I thought was just so her and so like pro was when Adele started
cool.
and something glitched and she was like, nope. Yeah. We're starting over.
Started in the wrong key.
Started over. And she just like shut down live TV and just said, I'm doing what I'm doing. Yeah. I loved that. I thought it was so pro in the midst of an oops.
Yeah.
And the composure that she had was just, I mean, she's amazing.
I was talking to Darius Rucker and we started talking about playing weddings, and he said he doesn't like playing weddings, so he set his price at $1 million, and somebody booked him for $1 million. He went and played it, and he said he had a great time. Of
course.
Where do you guys stand on weddings?
Hey, we'll do $1 million. I'll probably do one for a little less than $1 million. Be purely honest with you. No.
What's the price?
No, I mean we do a lot of we do a lot of corporate shows. I would almost even compare that to a similar thing. It's not necessarily, you'll go into like a corporate show and let's just say it's for Mercedes.
Right.
Half the people there probably aren't even country music fans. Right. So you're already kind of at a little bit of a disadvantage. But I love the challenge of being like, these guys, before they even have heard us, probably think they're not going to enjoy this night. Can't wait to win them over.
Yeah.
And it might be like, the first notes that Need You Now are like, oh, I actually think these guys are good. Or it might be throwing in like a little cover that they're not expecting. And there's nothing more fun than when I feel like you do that. Mm-hmm. In a wedding, I would imagine would be kind of similar, where you're like, I think too, a lot of that comes with not having an ego. It's like, I'm out there. I mean, to me, performing and being on that stage in whatever environment, I can make fun. I can make any environment fun. I've found out, because there's times we'll do a show in front of 50 people acoustic. It might be something small and intimate. Mm-hmm. And there's times we're playing in front of 30,000 people.
Right.
And it's like, it's a way to flex that muscle in different ways. And I'm always proud that we can live in those different environments and still put on a good show.
Because you put on a fun show at a funeral?
It might. No, but I could put on I could definitely make you help cry and get those emotions out.
There it is.
So I don't know. I just feel like that's something I'm really proud of, that we have a catalog that can kind of live in different environments.
Yeah, tell them to send the weddings to us.
With that said, $1 million wedding, I'm in. And hey, maybe even $900,000. I mean,
no. And then real quick, I want to play a game called Wikipedia Trivia with Lady A.
Wikipedia.
So basically, we're going to ask you 5 questions about yourself from Wikipedia. Oh. Now, if you get them all right, we donate $100 to a charity of your choice.
Yes.
Okay.
If you miss any, that money is you got to play our wedding. right. If you miss any, the money rolls over to the next artist.
Oh,
okay. So,
I love it.
What would be a charity that if you guys get all 5 of them, we could donate $100 to?
I mean, we've got our own actually called Lady Aid, so we can go there. We kind of go to
St. Jude is part of it.
St. Jude is in there, children's hospitals and stuff like that.
Okay, great.
So.
Yes.
Awesome. So we're playing for the kids.
Yes,
there you go.
playing for the kids.
All right, here we go. Dave, you and Charles are from Evans, Georgia, but you're arguably the second and third most famous contemporary songwriters from Evans. Who is number 1?
Number 1? I mean,
James Brown.
James Brown.
From Augusta.
Would be from Augusta. From Evans, there's another. Okay. We've already. No, I'm sorry to the kids.
Josh Kelley?
No.
Oh, is it Dallas or no? It's Ben Hayslip.
Ben Hayslip.
Oh yeah,
that is correct. He wrote "Honeybee." I don't want this night to end.
Yeah,
which
Ben
is awesome.
I love Ben.
Okay, all right. So you guys are.
That was a little assistance on that, but it's for charity.
We'll give you that one. Number 2, in 2011. Lady A passed on this future hit for country trio, the band Perry.
Oh, yeah.
Which one was it?
Better Dig 2.
Dig 2.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now walk me through the reason you guys passed on that.
It might have felt a little dark for where we were heading, with our music. But there was definitely something about it. I was like, gosh, this is really great. But I will say they nailed. Did Dan Huff do that?
I thought it was Paul Worley that did it.
No, I think Dan Huff did that. They nailed the production. Like it was. It always makes me feel good when a song then goes to someone and you're like, they did it justice, and that was where it needed to be. Everything finds its own way. Another one was like American Kids that Kenny Chesney did. It come our way, but who's to say it was all? It could have also been like in our desk the same time, like Kenny's in the studio already cutting it. So like that happens too. You never know. Little Big Town said they passed on American Kids too.
Yeah. So what was it about that song you think that made it go to groups before Kenny?
I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. That song though feels like, I remember you had said it, like it almost feels like now we could have sang that song. Because
we were a little young.
It's looking back so much, and it feels like Chesney was perfect for that.
We're still young, but we were younger then.
We were younger then.
Thank you.
Was it competitive with trios back then?
We wrote so much of our music, it wasn't. But downtown Miranda Lambert had it on hold, and she wasn't going to the studio, and she heard that we loved it, and she like, how cool is that? And if we're such good friends, she was like,
put that on Wikipedia.
Yeah, put that on Wikipedia. Put that on the Wiki. That was awesome. Put that on Wikipedia.
Number 3, Lady A signed their record deal in July of 2007, not long after making their debut on the Grand Ole Opry. Who introduced you, and why was that significant?
Hillary?
It was Whisper and Bill Anderson.
That is correct.
Yes.
And why was that significant?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but he was, I want to say, hopefully this is right.
Introduce your mom.
He introduced my dad.
Yeah, that's it.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice. You nailed that one. Both parts, A and B. Number 4, which future celebrity was Lady A's first booking agent?
Oh, good question.
Wait, say it again?
Which future celebrity was Lady A's first booking agent?
Oh, me.
Yeah!
That was a trick question.
Thank you.
That was a trick.
That was a trick. That was good.
You also built the first website, right?
That was a
That's
trick
amazing.
question. I was literally sitting there going
I was
like,
trying to give him a hint. I was like,
well, you know where my head was going? Because we used to have a day-to-day manager that now manages Jordan, and I was like,
wait, I was booking the show.
The
funny I've never said that I'm a celebrity. I think it's I never say that.
oh, come on. Yeah,
and I'm like, I'm a celebrity. I don't say that.
What else did you guys do? Like, so you built the website, you did booking. Did any of you do?
No, I drove, but yeah,
I drove the car.
I drove. The only reason I drove because I like to control the music. But Dave, I still remember Dave on the phone though, calling as if he was our, and pretending, going, I've got this group, and you're gonna love it. 3-part harmonies,
fantastic.
It harkens back to a day, and and it's like,
and no, not $150, $200. They need $200.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like, there's gas, there's no budget. Could you make it $250?
Wow, that's awesome.
You got to make that sale. Come on.
Yeah, well, you can retire and be an agent, man. Finally, Lady A once recorded 2 songs for the movie Best of Me, based on Nicholas Sparks' book of the same name.
Yep.
In that movie, who donated a heart to Amanda's son?
Oh my gosh.
I have choices. It can either be A, Tuck, B, Tommy, C, Frank, or D, Dawson.
Is it tough?
Sounds like a tough thing.
It's Dawson.
Boom,
That's
Dawson.
what I was going to say. Thanks, Phil.
The main character, Amanda's true love. He had died earlier in the book.
It's a sad story.
It is.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Very sad
I've never
story.
seen it. That just sounds not great.
Tug at the heartstrings.
Yeah. Well, good. You guys did
Hey,
great.
all right. Thank you. You almost
Nice
had us.
job.
You
You
almost
won.
had us.
Yeah.
We did.
We'll fork over that check for the charity.
Thank you.
Yeah, we appreciate you guys coming by. Congrats on all the success. Love the new song.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
for having us.
All right, let's bring in Billy Dukes from behind the camera to go over this interview with Lady A.
I'm not going to lie. They made me feel a little bit old when they said 17 years ago when we got started. I was there for the radio tour.
Dang,
So
really?
it does not seem like it was 17 years ago, but yeah, you do that math.
What was their first one? Need You Now?
No, that came a few years later. It was the song I Run to You.
Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh. That was 17 years ago?
2007, yeah, is when they signed. So 17 years ago this year. And Like you knew, like this is one of those acts that came in and is like, it almost seemed like the radio tour is a formality because they were going to be stars. They had just that presence about them that told you, like, oh yeah, this is the real deal here.
Yeah, and then I think winning those Grammys off the top of the gate, because I was in pop radio, and we started playing all those songs, and I think that as soon as winning the Grammys like out of the gate probably helped establish that. But you're right. It's like when you're around them, you feel like you're eating a fancy steak and not Applebee's.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yes. Less so now than maybe even 5 or 10 years ago, because I think their imagery was kind of a little bit more distinguished then, and now they're a little bit more rugged.
Okay.
Like Dave, like he was wearing what, like a flannel. Charles had just like a leather bomber jacket on. And
yeah.
Hillary looked nice, but she wasn't like,
yeah,
she didn't have a crown and a scepter.
Right.
Or anything. So I don't know. I feel a little bit more at ease with them now, but maybe that's just because I know him. We haven't known him for a long time. So,
well, do you think that after so many accolades and hits, you're allowed to take more creative control of your look?
Sure. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Or you just know to trust someone with it, so you don't care as much until it's time.
Because something I learned early in the game when I first started working here was that I just figured, hey, maybe the country artists come in from their house and they're just wearing kind of whatever, but it's usually for the most part styled, in their, like I think when we had Frank Ray in here, he kind of broke it down. Like he's like, I didn't used to dress like this. They were like, you would look good in this and loud and wild. And so, I often wonder if because that probably falls under the creative control umbrella,
Did you know, I just learned this is on topic, but a little bit left. There's a service where you can rent different outfits and not just like formal wear for like a red carpet. Everything they wore could have been like rented for the day.
I've seen that, yeah.
I forget what the company name is, but like if you're like someone who can't wear like the same outfit like regularly.
Yeah.
You rent your outfit. It might cost you $50 an outfit. You give it back. For an artist like Frank Ray or someone who's new to the business, my gosh, what a huge money saver that is.
Yeah, there's also an easier way to do that, and it's just Amazon. If you can find what you want on Amazon.
But you might not get the fit, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I mean, you can always, you can wear it and then return it. But hey, you could do that back in the day. We were doing that in the 90s at Belk and JCPenney. You just keep the tag on the shorts,
I never did. You did that? You just would take it back?
I did it once with like a pair. It was a pair of Jordan shorts, and they were like $50 back then. Yeah. I think I was like 16 or 17. And I taped the tag with black tape on the inside. So, I flipped it around. They tagged it kind of like, hard to explain.
No, I think the only thing worse than not owning an IOU sweatshirt would have been caught having an IOU sweatshirt with a tag on it.
Yeah.
To take it back. That was my perspective at the time.
Does anybody buy clothes now? I think you could just buy them and return them,
So this was a pretty interesting interview to prepare for, because I think there's been a lot of news about Lady A in the last year, especially as it revolves around Charles and giving up drinking and his sobriety. And he's been pretty open and honest. But like, we kind of racked our brains. It's like, what do we still want to know there? Like,
yeah.
Like, how much do we want to just kind of bring that up for the sake of being real journalists and bringing up the hard topics?
Right.
I didn't know what the question was per se. And it certainly didn't seem worth lingering on for a really long time.
Yeah, and everything that you want to know about Lady A is already out there, so it's like, it is a challenge.
And this wasn't going to be the time or space either where maybe he was going to really break down his lowest point or something like that. Like, that's not our vibe in here. So you just kind of, I don't know. I always like to ask the hard questions, but if there is no hard question, it's just a hard topic, then it's almost like a talk about. Just talk about your sobriety.
Right. Yeah, there's nothing like,
What does that get you?
When you walk past the beers, I get it, yeah. One thing that, was probably touched on so much, I didn't want to beat a dead horse, but when I was doing research for this interview, you type in Lady A, and one thing that came up was like Lady A, new music. And like new album. And I was like, oh, what? I didn't hear about this. And it's like, after my battle with the group, I'm now getting back to making my music.
Oh, it's
the other Lady A.
Right.
So, I didn't know she's still going by that. I'm not sure the ramifications, but it would have been interesting I just want to know how much they knew and how much they, because I feel like that's a business thing. Was Hillary like all up on the phone with it, or were they just like, oh, someone did this, but we handled it,
Certain issues, it's like the time away from it, unless you're really getting an hour or a 2 hour or a really good chunk of time with them to kind of go back into those certain things, which we don't generally get that kind of time. Like there almost is like an expiration date, or people can kind of wait it out. And I think you see that with Morgan Wallen. Like at this point, if Morgan Wallen came in here, like it would be weird to ask him about that night 3 Januaries ago and try to get a new angle. That'd be strange at this point. I don't even know what question I would kind of ask. But that said, he's never really answered for that. I don't think in a satisfactory way. So maybe someone should, but I don't know if anybody will get that opportunity.
I wouldn't want to ask Morgan Wallen. I would want to ask the neighbor that turned in that video. I want to interview them.
That person?
Yeah, because they like essentially changed the route of his whole life and his career.
That person got paid. I heard that person got paid. The rumor was that it got paid $1 million for that.
From like TMZ.
Yeah.
Gosh.
There's a lot of money. And then I think they moved out too.
Do you have to pay taxes on that?
Yeah. Anytime you get I mean, that's probably like what do they call it? Like a contract, like a W-9 situation.
Oh, so you got to pay employment. You got to pay. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Uncle 40%. Sam's getting its cut. That's for day.
I mean, yeah. And I just want to know. Yeah. I mean, that's off topic, but yeah, I would want to know like, there's so many questions. Yeah.
Well, I mean, this kind of circles back to what I was kind of getting at. This made this interview with Lady A a really nice opportunity because it was a chance to really just sort of have a conversation with them. And I think that's what we settled on was like, we don't have 10 questions per se.
Right.
Here's a few topics that we think might engage them. Maybe we can just kind of settle down and kind of pick their brains a little bit on things like what Lady A would look like today if they met on MySpace or the Grammys and stuff like that.
Yeah, because I do feel like no one is meeting someone on social media and going, let's form a band. Like that is like a relic almost. I feel like you're right. Like, let's work together. Let's do this. So, I mean, I don't really see too many new country bands in the shoot. It's
hard because of social media. Like, I think not having a clear front person, and it might even be like, like a Zach Brown band. You have Zach Brown right there in the name. Boom, he's the front person. He's in charge. Like, it's kind of vague when it comes to social media or even internet searching to kind of figure out who they are and how you might identify them with them. It takes so much work to identify with, like, a band who has 5 guys, like maybe an Old Dominion, than it does a solo artist who you can see what they like and their sense of humor and stuff like that. I think that's a real disadvantage. And it is unfortunate because it leaves out a lot of good music in some of those harmonies.
Is the era of country bands over?
I'm careful to go that far. I wouldn't, if I was in the talent booking or label business, I wouldn't book a band. I wouldn't sign a band. That's for sure. I'll tell you what I think is kind of coming back. And this, if you do some research, like you see how Alabama really sort of changed the award structure for groups, like in the mid 80s. Like when it came to, there wasn't a vocal group of the year. It was like and a vocal duo of the year. I think it was like one vocal group. And all the nominees were like Loretta Lynn and Conway Twitty. It was like 2 artists that just sort of kicked it for an album.
Oh.
And then they'd get nominated in that category. But then you get Alabama, and then all of a sudden Alabama are perennial nominees. Oak Ridge Boys had been around a little bit by that point already. They were starting to become nominees. And there's all these other groups and duos that are like formalized duos, not just Tammy Wynette, George Jones.
Got it.
Conway, Dolly Parton, Kenny Rogers.
Which, if they did it that way now, every other song we play is a duo. So there would be like
that's
impossible.
Exactly it. Yeah. Jelly Roll, Lainey Wilson,
right.
Vocal duo of the year.
I see. Yeah.
Would be the thing. And back then, artists would, like, I think Conway and Loretta recorded like 9 full albums together.
Wow.
Like, that's like 100 songs. That's bananas to me.
But then when you look at like when they do duo of the year, like how many times, like I feel like Dan and Shay, Brothers Osborne, even if it wasn't a new music year, they're going to be nominated because they're running out of duos.
Well, that's totally true. Yeah.
And groups.
Yeah. Oh no, that's 100% true. You look at the nominees, Who is it that always gets nominated? Well, Parmalee always gets snubbed in the group category.
Yeah, but then Midland always...
Midland slides in.
Yeah. I mean, no offense to Midland, but Parmalee's got more hits, I think.
Well, and in the duo category, Brooks and Dunn are always getting nominated.
Yeah, what have they done after the reboot?
They haven't. Yeah, they haven't had a single in over a decade.
Yeah,
or released a new album in even longer. That's kind of always been a problem to a certain extent. The Bellamy Brothers and even Alabama got nominated in those categories long after they were like consistently putting out music or relevant music.
We might not be able to talk about it. We might have stumbled on some like Illuminati stuff. We might get in trouble if we
Yo, you think people out there?
I think we might have stumbled into
Mr. CMA is right out there with his whooping stick.
Yeah, I think,
tough, man.
Yeah, I think we're getting too deep, man.
Well, no, here's why I think it's because I think the CMAs and the ACM and all the award shows, they need to sort of adapt to the times. And they do, sometimes a little bit slower than people like. But I do think you'll see a change in the vocal duo group categories in the next 5 years. That sort of reflects what we see.
Okay. I mean, like if Dan and Shay were to break up like they almost did, who would go in that slot? Like if me and you started a band, could we slide in there?
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know of any duos that are on deck.
It's really easy to get nominated, and I think that could be what brings like the duo back. Sometimes when there's like the hole in the marketplace, you fill it, then all of a sudden you're a ACM nominated vocal duo, and you see that with like vocal event of the year. That's why all these vocal events are so popular, is because it gets your artist who's new an ACM or CMA nomination, maybe a performance slot, and then all of a sudden their level of success goes up a little bit. I mean, Lainey Wilson benefited from that, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
With the Cole Swindell.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. No. So goodbye to duos, goodbye to groups, and hello to
it's possible
collaborations.
It's possible it could kind of almost go backwards because of social media.
Way to go, humans! Look what we did.
Fun interview though, and I thought the game went off well.
They were a lot of fun.
I just like Lady A, so I'm always glad to see them.
Yeah, same.